Welcome back to AHS-TV. I'm Isabella, and today I'm joined by Harper and Jordan, and today we're talking about minimum wage. Harper, how do you feel about minimum wage?
I think there are certain aspects of it that can work in the receiver's favor, but there are other things about it that lead to more predatory business actions that should be looked at in a more concerning way.
All right, and Jordan, how do you feel about minimum wage?
I feel like minimum wage, I feel like it really matters about your situation, what you're really going through. But I feel like that situation usually ends up with not really, it doesn't. I feel like minimum wage shouldn't be raised. I feel like it's going to cause a lot of problems if we do raise it. It might make it a little easier for a short amount of time for people that are problems, as in inflation, stuff like that.
Why is inflation caused by that?
Because if you raise the prices, if a company has to pay their, let's say, I don't know, Sprinkles, a small town market, if you raise minimum wage, there's no way that those people at, I have no idea, but I doubt that they're paying their employees.
So you have no idea what you're talking about it?
I doubt they're paying their employees $13, $14 an hour.
I doubt they are as well, because I know someone who works there and he made $10.50.
Yeah, okay, so you know. So if we do raise minimum wage, that Sprinkles is going to have to pay it doesn't matter how much they make, Sprinkles is going to have to raise every single employee to $13, $14 an hour, which if they do that to make more money and to kind of even it out, they're going to have to raise the prices of all their other things too.
Well, inflation comes without raising raising the minimum wage too.
Yeah, so. But if we raise minimum wage, that's just going to make inflation. That's going to make it way worse than it already is, and it's going to make the dollar worth way less than it already has to be.
And why do you think that is?
Because companies are corrupted.
Exactly.
So the money has to still even out. If a company, maybe there's a company that already has a tough schedule, like the Sprinkles. If they do have to raise their wage for everybody, and all the prices go up, that means they're going to lose. If the prices don't go up, that means they're going to lose money. And companies don't want to lose money. That's just not how that works.
All right, Harper. So he's talking about how keeping it the same, the inflation wouldn't be there. So how do you think that raising it would affect citizens?
Well, I do think the prices of products would go up, and that's why I think that there should be legal precedents set that disallow companies from hiking up prices just because their employees have to be paid a few more dollars. I mean, when you look at the heads of the companies, they're still making record-breaking profits, so there's no reason that they should be, that their employees should be paid less, and their, stuff should go up because of that.
Right. And so these people who are working to make this minimum wage and this money, they probably work half-time, full-time. And so what is there to be said for taking pride in your work?
Taking pride in your work, that's something that can occur if you're working for something that benefits humanity. But when you're working in a service job, it's very hard to feel that you're actually doing something when you're working in, when you're working in an environment where there feels like there's no respect. You're not valued because the amount you're paid also reflects the amount that you're charged.
Right.
It just feels like you're a statistic.
I'll agree with you on that. I really don't think that employees are respected as much as they should. They're out here wasting their time getting paid. But even if you do raise that wage, they're still not going to get respected. Doesn't matter if it's being raised by $2, because even if they raise it to $13 an hour, a lot of those, let's say McDonald's hires $13 an hour. If they do raise the price to $13 an hour, those people still aren't going to get respected. Those people are still going to be treated the same way. They're still going to be treated like garbage.
But do you know that they're being disrespected?
My friend Parker, he works at McDonald's. He says that they barely do anything for him. He only gets to eat the only thing he doesn't get to eat much for lunch. He says that his manager's kind of a jerk. He's not really the nicest person.
So is that for all locations, or is that just for his? Because
for Katanning, I can say that a lot
of people in Katanning are rude. So why do you think it's just for fast food?
Employees are treated like garbage.
All right, so...
Do you know that's for everywhere, though? I mean, I assume it would be, but do you 100% know?
I don't know.
Jordan.
I just know that in Katanning, our fast food employees are treated bad.
I have a question for you. Today, we see the nation in need of employees in every field, almost, if not all. And so do you think that a big reason for people not being appealed to working would be the amounts, even including the sign-on bonuses and things offered?
I think the sign-on bonuses, it's a lot of... I don't think the sign-on bonuses should be, I don't think it should have happened. I feel like it's just because, you're getting paid more money, but then also they're paying those people less, and I don't really understand that. I
Well-
just feel like their price should stay the same what it should be without having to raise like sign-on bonuses and stuff like that.
Well, I feel like it gives people an incentive to work. So how are these people who are getting paid minimum wage, like why would they have the motivation to work if they feel like they're getting underpaid? So with that, like thinking about that, can you take pride in your work if you're underpaid?
A lot of people enjoy things they do. They make minimum wage. Like me, I make minimum wage. I really enjoy the things I do at work. I enjoy learning about things I do. But there
prior
are
to this, you told me you hate your job, so.
I just don't like cleaning. That's the only part I don't like about it. I like learning about the oil. I like learning about different types of like kind of ball stuff. But I like learning about new things when it comes to my job. But everyone's gonna hate their job, even if they think they're paid normally. A lot of people that are paid normally have to work a lot harder and they have to work a lot more. So they're still going to dislike their job. So.
But if they're in a community of people who they can find joy with, will that not help?
It will help. Finding like working with friends. I think I bet you most people enjoy working with like their friends and stuff like that than working without any friends. And like if someone's getting paid minimum wage, I don't mind getting paid minimum wage. I have nothing to pay for it, but obviously there are going to be some people who have to help pay for things.
Well, what if so someone's trying to go to college and they don't have anyone who's supporting them? Making minimum wage, is that really going to supply the entire, like everything they need?
Well, there are like, you can try to go for scholarships. It's hard. It's a tough work, but you can try to go for scholarships. There are things like tuition to where like asking the bank for money, stuff like that, and then you can pay it off as you get older. That is very like, it's tough, but like as soon as you pay that off, you're going to be making a lot more money.
Well, what do you do if you don't have access to that? Then you're just left with no plan, or?
Well, how do you not have access to the bank?
Well, it's not that. You just might not have access to a scholarship, or like you just don't get accepted for one. So even if you try, you are still at a loss of money. So what do you do about that?
Well, there's nothing you really can do. It's even if you raise the price to $13 an hour, yes, it's going to help. But that is nowhere near enough money to pay for college.
Exactly.
Even
so
for
it should be
2
raised
years.
higher
Why would you? If you raise that, why does a high schooler need to be making $15 an hour?
to pay for college, maybe.
Okay, but if you do raise that price to $15 an hour, just think about it. That is almost double the amount that it is now. So that could mean that prices could double in, like groceries. Groceries could double in price. And you can't just tell a company, hey, you're not allowed to raise the prices. That's not really
Why
going to
can't you?
fly. Because how are you supposed to do that? How are you going to tell companies like McDonald's, McDonald's, they get hired at like, I think it's like $14 an hour, something like that, for like 16-year-olds. If you raise minimum wage, McDonald's is going to struggle because they're going to have to pay all their.
McDonald's is going to struggle.
They're
really.
going to lose half of their.
McDonald's makes
money.
unbelievable
All right,
amounts
guys,
of
I'm
money.
going to stop you there. I'm going to ask you a question, Harper.
Yep.
Do you think that people will work and meet their potential if they aren't getting paid for what they do? And do you think that they lose a lot of their motivation?
I think it's possible to lose motivation, but I think you can find enlightenment in things outside of work, which in my personal opinion, is something you should do. I don't agree with the sentiment that you should work. You should do what you hate to spend and gain money to do what you love. So I think you can find happiness outside of work if you try, but you should have the option to find happiness in your work if you wish.
Right. And so I guess with that being said, asking you now, can you take pride in your work when you're underpaid and are lacking that motivation?
Yes, I think you can enjoy your work if you're getting underpaid. It just depends on your circumstance and how you go about trying to resolve that.
Right. And so Jordan, do you think that the average American can survive on minimum wage?
If we're talking like past 20 years old where people have like families and stuff like that, I'm going to say no. I do not think that the average American can survive off of minimum wage when they have families and bills to pay for. But if we're talking like 95 in 2020, 95% of people that made minimum wage were under the age of 20 years old. So most of those people that are under the age of 20 don't have to pay for their own bills. Some of them do, which I can say that sucks. It's really unfortunate that a child has to go through things like that. But there are some people who, most people do not have to pay for bills, food, water. Like, that's just, most of the time, it's not a child's job to do that.
Well, taking it back to what you said, in 2020, I believe around 70 million people lost their jobs, and most of those jobs were in minimum wage due to the COVID-19 outbreak.
None of those jobs weren't not in minimum wage. Most of those jobs were paying, at the average, like, for an average 20-year-old, like, in, like, Tanning, PA, most jobs still were hiring at $13 an hour, like fast food places, like Walmart was still hiring at that range.
Exactly.
A lot of places were still hiring at those higher, not $7.25 wages.
Okay.
Right, and so do you think that the average American can live on minimum wage?
I don't think the average American can. I think some who can live a life where they, don't feel impulse to purchase things, and people who, reserve money extremely, reserve an extreme amount of money could. But I think the average American wants to see more to life than, making $7.25 an hour.
Right.
So I think I think they'll try to spend more, personally.
Right. Jordan, do you have anything to say to that?
I think that, so like the average American, a lot of Americans live in poverty, stuff like that. A lot of Americans struggle with stuff like that. But there are some mothers out there who are single mothers who the man of the child left, they don't have anyone to help them. Some of those mothers are already making $13, $12 an hour. So as soon as you raise that price, and don't get me wrong, I don't 100% know if if prices are going to change. But there is a very high possibility that if you do raise minimum wage and pay more people more money, those mothers that were already making $13 an hour are going to now be making minimum wage, so they're going to struggle just as much as the people that were making minimum wage. So that is going to make it much harder for women that already have, like, the rate of single mothers is way higher than the rate of single fathers. But single fathers are more accepted in communities. I think it's wrong, but they are. So they have more of a chance to make more money. But when it comes to women, I feel like they're more lowered as people. So they're not going to get paid as much. Obviously, they don't. I'll say that. But those single mothers that are already making $13 an hour, as soon as minimum wage raises, all of those single mothers, all of those single fathers, all those people that are making $13 an hour are going to be struggling just as much as the people that were making minimum wage before minimum wage raised.
Exactly, and that's why I believe we have to set legal limits on how much they can raise the prices. I think taking it up a little bit.
Even if you do take it up a little bit, that's still going to have them struggle so much. Do you understand? I make minimum wage. I don't pay for bills. I don't pay for anything, and I still struggle to pay for things that I want to pay for, like I pay for car insurance. I pay for my phone.
So you do have things to pay for.
So but I'm a teenager who does not pay for bills, who does not pay for anything like that. So I can say that I can struggle, but most people who are like older than me, who live by themselves, do not make minimum wage, as I said. But as soon as you raise minimum wage, even if they only raises the prices of everything a little bit, everyone is still going to struggle just as much as a little bit more, less than I am now, and I can still struggle at times. Right now, I only have like $200 in my bank account. That is not enough money to do anything.
Exactly. So if you were getting more, do you think you would have, do you think you would struggle less?
But the cost of my phone, the cost of my insurance, the cost of my food, everything is going to go up in price. Last year,
you don't pay for your food.
I do pay for my food. I don't pay for all of it, but I pay for some of it because I don't want my mother to have to go to the store when she gets home at 6 o'clock.
Oh.
I help pay for my siblings' food. I help pay for that kind of stuff, but I don't pay for all of it. Let's say Taco Bell. Right now, last year Taco Bell, there was a box. It gave you 4 burritos and 4 tacos. It was $10. You want to know how much it is right now?
How much is it?
$20. It has doubled in price in the last year. So as soon as that is going to go up even more if you raise minimum wage. Doesn't matter if it goes up by a little bit. That is still going to go up way more.
So it was raised $10, and I didn't hear. So why was that? Why did it go up $10?
Inflation. Inflation's already bad enough. The amount of the dollar is already worth bad enough. So as soon as you lower the price of the dollar, everything else is still going to go up in price, and you are still going to be making the same amount of money as someone who made minimum wage.
Okay.
You are going to struggle just as much as someone who just made minimum wage.
So if inflation is already terrible, If inflation is already so bad,
We can't fix
afford it.
inflation. If we raise minimum wage, inflation is just going to get worse. And as soon as you make inflation worse, those people who are out there already are making $15 an hour are still going to struggle just as much as people who are making.
You are very able to reduce inflation if you set legal limits on what companies can do. Things won't be inflated if you disallow companies to hike up their prices. You can't allow them to price gouge.
What about those companies that are already struggling? There are companies out there who are already struggling.
I'm not talking about small businesses.
Okay, but I am talking
corporations.
about small businesses. Those companies that are small businesses that are already struggling. As soon as you raise prices, they have to raise prices.
Exactly.
If you set a legal limit on that,
I
they
agree.
can't raise their prices and they fall under business.
Exactly. And I believe
instead, yes, like places like McDonald's and Amazon
That's
and
what I was
McDonald's
speaking about.
and
I
like
completely
they're
agree
all
with your small
making
business
they're all
sentiment.
making plenty of money. They're making a little too much money, but they are successful for a good reason. Those companies that are small, that are trying to become successful, are not making enough money. It's because of stuff like if you raise minimum wage. If you raise minimum wage, those companies are going to be made less. Those companies are going to make way less money than they already do because of inflation.
Exactly. So you need to set legal limits on
Even if you
multinational
set legal limits,
corporations.
those companies that are small, the small companies that don't make money are going to make less money. Because even if you set legal limits, those companies can't raise their prices to the full extent.
Well, do you think that these small companies, if they aren't getting the money that they need, like, that they should, like, that they'll be able to do anything? Like, they should shut down, and maybe if it's a small business, what if it's like a side job or something, and you, like, have other things, like, isn't necessarily, like, important to
Yes. Like, those small companies are trying to become big. Those small companies are trying their hardest to become a successful company
And
because
how
want money.
can you allow them to become a bigger company?
If they can.
They need to. They could advertise better. They could do other things. They could
Do you think advertisement is going to make people come in better? Like, do you think that's going to bring them in?
All
as
right,
much
guys,
as
I think that's
more
all the time
competitive
we have
prices?
today. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.
That's such a good point. Why did you cut me off?